Hello Harston, agus fáilteiribh I rais go Speak Gaelic. Welcome back to Speak Gaelic. And a special welcome to any new learners who have just joined us. Mar is mála, saol na seair. The more, the merrier. Mar is mála, saol na seair. You'll be hearing that phrase again, which translates as the bigger, the better, over the next half hour, so make sure you listen out for it. And in addition to what I'm sharing with you, remember you can find lots of supporting resources on our website and in our podcasts, which you can download from BBC Sounds. These will help reinforce your newly found language skills, and I can highly recommend them. So, what's coming up in this episode? Tell people where you're from.
Sauna inar Fiorrachd Pheairt.
Calum Maclean introduces us to Scotland's oldest tree. How to say you enjoyed something.
Toirt agus toirt an bhíoghrú.
And we'll meet Gaelic learner Andrew Gourlay from Fife, who'll tell us about his interest in the language. Now, I think you've been waiting long enough. Are you ready? Let's speak Gaelic. In Series 1, we looked at how to ask where you're from and where you live. Có sa how? Where are you from? Có sa how? And where do you live? Cá te bhfuil a furach? Where do you live? Cá te bhfuil a furach? But to ask if someone comes from or lives somewhere specific, you ask a noun a, and wherever it is, I how? Are you from? A noun a, I how? So I could ask a noun a Alwapa a how? Are you from Scotland? A noun a Alwapa a how? And to answer, if the question begins with a noun, the answer will begin with either saun or cheumannan. So to answer a noun a Alwapa a how, I would say saun. Saun a Alwapa a hami. Yes, I'm from Scotland. Saun a Alwapa a hami. Or if you're not from Scotland, cheumannan. Cheumannan a Alwapa a hami. No, I'm not from Scotland. Cheumannan a Alwapa a hami. If you were to ask me, a noun a Glasgow a how? Are you from Glasgow? A noun a Glasgow a how? I would reply, cheumannan. No, cheumannan. So I'll tell you where I'm from. Saun as a honnealh a hami. I'm from Cornwall. Saun as a honnealh a hami. Now, we know that not everyone learning Gaelic is Scottish. People all over the world are learning, and mar is mála, saol na seair. So here are the Gaelic names of some countries. An Rang, France. An Rang. Italy. An Netalch. An Netalch. And China. Sheena. Sheena. There's a lot more information about this topic on our website, but for the moment, let's listen to this conversation where people are discussing where they're from.
Ha mé fiúlach an na bailin na cheaclaise. Sin Kirkwall, Svír hala marcah.
A noun arcah a how I héimnis.
Chanaun, sauna inar Fiorrachd Pheairt. Ach, ha mé fiúlach an arcah.
Na gaan a denetje na hat of en meg.
Sauna dunéid na hai.
Na gau na Alwapa a ha de bhharsa I getríine.
Saun a alapa ha mu vahed.
Agus ha se bh fuúrach na Madrid?
Ha sin na fuidechain in Madrid, ach bí sin na dul a galapa laien sure.
Ha úsa dul a Galap Lion súre, agus ha mise a dul a núl an Spáin Lion súre.
Ha usa fyddoch an Siorrachd Andra. In nawn as Siorrachd how?
Hanawn na segerist yn y hami. Hami a chidich. Se chidisjach a hanam.
Catch of Alice.
Na cheli yn glasacho.
Ha je voerig in den glasacho. Ach kaatje veli.
Dilly, ha mi a ffynja? Chynja mi maes ffynja. Ha mi a Jane of cake?
Oh, still cake. A nawn a glasacho a how, Alice.
Sawn a Glasgow ha mi? Agus ha mi a ffyddoch an Partick and an cian na níad a vala.
Did you recognise some of the phrases there? We heard Anndra asking Seamus. A noun a arciv a how. Are you from Orkney? A noun a arciv a how. And Seamus replied, Saun a in your fioharine a hami. I'm from Dingwall. Saun a in your fioharine a hami. But he went on to tell them, Ach, hami a fudach aun an arciv. But I'm living in Orkney. Ach, hami a fudach aun an arciv. Later on in the conversation, Anndra asked Catriona, Nach aun a albopa a had the vahid. Isn't your mother from Scotland? Nach aun a albopa a had the vahid. And Catriona replied, Saun a albopa a ha ma vahid. Yes, my mother is from Scotland. Saun a albopa a ha ma vahid. But to be sure where she lived, Anndra then said, Hashiv a fudach an a Madrid. You're living in Madrid. Hashiv a fudach an a Madrid. And Catriona told him, Ha shin a fudach an a Madrid. Yes, we're living in Madrid. Ha shin a fudach an a Madrid. You can watch all of the conversations in this series on our website, supported by bilingual transcriptions. In the meantime, let's listen again to some of that conversation.
A nawn a arciv a how e hemish.
Ganawn, sauna inner fiocharing a hami. Ach, hami a fyddoch an arciv.
Na gawn na alabe a had de vaharse e getriene.
Saun a alapa ha mu vahed.
Agus ha je voerig in Madrid?
Ha si na fudach in Madrid, ach bí sin a dul a galapa leien Siorrachd.
Ha se dul galap leien Siorrachd. Agus ha misje a dul a nulgan Spaan leien Siorrachd.
Now, it's my favourite part of the programme. I get to have some company in the studio and meet another incredible Gaelic learner. I've been joined by Andrew Gourlay, who's going to share his learning journey with us. But before we start chatting, let's find out a bit more about him.
Is Misha Anndra Gourlay. I'm Andrew Gourlay. Saun na Glasgow a chami o hús a chami o fúrich an an Fìobha an Breatainn. I'm a coffee connoisseur and enjoy roasting coffee beans. I work as an actor, sé cléisiche a hanam, and I also work part-time in a cinema in Edinburgh. I love film, and especially Scottish film. Gàidhlig alínas. Cascalor J Hashin a Gina and Gàidhlig J. I started learning Gaelic 3 years ago. My mum is from the Isle of Skye and speaks Gaelic. That encouraged me to start learning. We talk together and she's a great help to me. Bishina goper and Gàidhlig. This is a good opportunity for me to pick up some more Gaelic words from my mum. I try to speak Gaelic as much as I can. Bí mi a bhruidhinn sa Gaelic rí mo Harrichan agus clás cóirí loine. Sé a bhí mar farsht yen choirsnach Gaelic a cóirstearáin. I really enjoy meeting up and speaking with fellow learners.
Fáilteoirt Anndra go speak Gaelic. Cimar a how?
I'm Casciúlóir Tapalaigh.
So when did you begin learning?
I started learning Gaelic 3 years ago, and it's been an off and on journey because, you know, sometimes life kind of takes over. But it's consistently now for about 3 years.
Oh, wonderful. And you're an actor.
Yes.
Can you tell us a wee bit about that?
So I started when I was in high school. I was quite nervous. And the good thing about it is it kind of taught you how to take risks.
Yeah.
And how to not be afraid to get things wrong and not worry when you get things wrong in front of other people. And you're alive at the end of it, and you feel really alive at the end of it too.
And that's a real help too when you're learning a language.
Absolutely.
Because so many learners are scared of making a mistake.
Sure.
Have you found it's been a help for you?
Absolutely, yeah. I don't really worry about getting things wrong, and I try to speak as much of it as I can, and I make a lot of mistakes. But if I didn't do that, I wouldn't progress at all.
Absolutely. And will we have seen you in any films or TV programmes?
I'm not sure. You might have seen my favourite thing I've ever done was a whiskey advert I did on Islay, and getting to go to Islay was fantastic. And but I had to have a kind of Highland accent, so I had to copy my mum as well. So it was good to do that. But that's my favourite thing I've ever done. I've also done a few films and TV and stuff as well.
Oh, fabulous. And have you ever managed to use your Gaelic in your acting?
No, I would absolutely love to, though. I've watched every Gaelic drama I can find, every Gaelic play I can get my hands on. And there's so many amazing actors with Gaelic. And so hopefully one day I'd love to use my Gaelic in acting.
Now, you're teaching online now. Can you tell us a wee bit more about that?
So I ended up teaching a lot online. And but as soon as I started doing it, I went, this is what I need to be doing. As soon as when you know you're the person that is helping a beginner, when you're teaching them Cimara Hashiv, these things that you've heard a million times, you realise how important it is in that moment, so you want to make it the best for them as well.
Yeah. And has there been any breakthrough moments for you when you thought, oh, I'm getting better?
Yes, it's when you realise that you're answering in a verb, that you're using the verb to, so you can't use ha every time you get a question and you want to say yes. As soon as I caught on to the fact that you need to reply in the verb, and because you could ask me a question, and if I didn't know the question started with a veil, I wouldn't know how to respond to it. And that was my breakthrough.
And do you have a favourite word or phrase in Gaelic?
My favourite, well, I heard it a lot when I was wee from my mum when she was speaking to her sisters on the phone, hiri. And for ages I heard it and I never knew really what it meant. So it's kind of like, oh my goodness, it's kind of like a really kind of soft kind of swear word, I suppose. So if you ever get bored of omachrach, you just use ochiri instead.
That's a great one. Well, tapalaigh, Anndra, thank you so much for coming to talk to us. I guess good luck on your learning journey.
Tapalaigh, Joy.
Now it's time to leave the studio behind for a while and join Speak Gaelic's outdoor adventurer, Calum MacIlleathain. Calum Maclean, as he takes us to another of Scotland's hidden gems from the relative comfort of our sofas. And if I'm right, he's looking for something gma-usta, very old, and much older than all of us.
I've got a very old antique sideboard at home. It's detailed, varnished, very ornate. I was really proud of it. Until I read poet Alexander Smith, who said, trees are the best antiques. And you know what? Maybe so. A chraobh, a tree, a chraobh does sound better. Alexander Smith also wrote, a man does not plant a tree for himself, he plants it for posterity. He must have known about this chraobh.
In a corner of a quiet Scottish churchyard at the eastern entrance to Glen Lyon, in the village of Fortingall, stands this Ewer, a yew tree, Ewer. Behold, the Fortingal yew. It's claimed the tree is between 2,000 and 3,000 years old, but the outer rings of this Ewer have rotted away, so it's very difficult to work out. But it's definitely Öster, old Öster. The stakes in the ground show the original growth of the tree, probably about 50 feet around. Hashin more, big, more. I met Fran Gillespie, who is one of the tree wardens of the Fortingal yew.
Does this tree sitting in a churchyard, does it have religious significance?
Well, it does, because the tree is older than the church. The first church here dates to the late 7th century AD, when the saints first came from Ireland to Iona, and from Iona down the Glen, and they converted the people here to Christianity. And they tended to put their churches on sacred sites. And this would already have been a sacred site, because the yew tree was regarded as sacred right back to very ancient times. So that's why the church is next to the tree, we think.
Fran, there's various stories attached to this tree, and a name you often see written about, Pontius Pilate. What's the truth?
The story goes back to 1869, when the minister here, Reverend Samuel Ferguson, wrote a poem called The Queen's Visit, to commemorate the visit of Queen Victoria to Taymouth Castle. And he refers to an old legend that Pontius Pilate was born here, and that's the only literary record we have.
So it may be that the Pontius Pilate story was a big lie, a briach mhór. But you know what? It worked. The tree became hugely popular, and thousands flocked here to see this magnificent chraobh.
We also get a lot of groups who come to worship the tree, and unfortunately we do get people occasionally climbing into the enclosure and trying to hold ceremonies until chased off by me.
So how did it get here? Did Pontius Pilate really play under its boughs? How old is it?
So many questions, and the biggest question of all, what kind of compost would they have used all those years ago? It must have been toirt, manure, toirt. Yeah, that would have been it. And a pretty good job it did too.
I'm not quite sure about Calum's fascination with sideboards or toirt, manure, but he certainly found the tree he was looking for, and I'm glad he did. Apad Scialach Ingeneach, ach, Sula Vili Pheairt. What an interesting story, but I do wonder if it's true. Sul a Vili Pheairt. And thanks to Calum's efforts, we know that a chraobh is a tree, a Ewer is a yew tree, and Öster is old. Öster, or Gma Öster in this case, very old, Gma Öster. And if you'd like to see more of Calum's take on Gaelic, you can find that on all of our social media channels. It's well worth following us just for that. Shuativ. Nisha, about Shif Jishal, it's time to speak some more Gaelic. To ask if someone enjoyed or liked something, we say, "An the horst. Did you enjoy it or did you like it? An the horst. To say that you have enjoyed or liked something, you say, horst. I enjoyed it. Horst. For example, an the horst netalsrucht. Did you enjoy Italy? An the horst netalsrucht. And to answer a question like that, it's horst, did enjoy. Horst, or had a horst, didn't enjoy or didn't like. Had a horst. So going back to our question, and the horst in netalsrucht, you could build on these phrases and say horst, horst in biagrum. Yes, I enjoyed the food. Horst in biagrum. And you can use this phrase in all sorts of contexts. For example, an the horst an parstirucht. Did you enjoy the party? And the toirt and party route. Let's listen to this next conversation about things and places that people have enjoyed. And listen out for the phrases rucúch me, I was born, rucúch me, and hocúch me, I was brought up. Hocúch me.
Well, Emma, rucúch me an Alapa, ach hocúch me an san rang agus an sa Geramalt.
And the toirt a Geramalt.
Oh, is sad a fun ocean, Emma. Ach, van me an sa Geramalt lion Siorrachd Pheairt.
And the toirt and Beagrove.
Chord an beer gamoor. Stel him Breatainn first. Chord him round Pheairt.
Stel him Beag Alapanach.
En de chord a chudum alabana chrucht eigen hunje.
Chord, agus chord and Beagrove.
En de chord a vara gu chrucht.
Chord, ha maragu an sa Geramalt Pheairt. Shet bloed first and tell him a maragu an sa Geramalt.
Hallo, tadhal.
Ispanan agus Maracan.
Eh?
And Beag a Charlotte Shawnee.
Oh, kerst.
En druk tu aan een alpa nua gewiegd.
Rucúch is hocúch me an an Antigonish, ach, ba mi furach an Halifax son Jich bliana.
She sure she aatje han na Halifax.
Se balla eentje nog a haun. Se balla mór a haun, ach, ha glaskunas mu.
And the chord and party kowa break Shores route.
Nach de chord en kjol agus een beer chrucht.
Chort en kjol, agus een biogroom.
And the chord and party declare.
Johnny, dre sure se aatje haun an portion long.
Did you recognise some of the phrases we heard there? Emma was talking to Shawnee about some of the things he liked about Germany, and she asked, and the toirt and Beagrove, did you enjoy the food? And the toirt and Beagrove. And he replied, toirt and Beagrove gemór. I really enjoyed the food. Toirt and Beagrove gemór. Shawnee then asked Emma, and the toirt a chudum alapanach route. Did you enjoy the Scottish concert? And the toirt a chudum alapanach route. To which she replied, toirt, I did. Toirt. He also asked, and the toirt a vara gu route. Did you like the black pudding? And the toirt a vara gu route. And of course, the answer was toirt. Yes, toirt. Later on, we heard Shawnee ask Michael, and the rucúch tú an an Alpan nuach. Were you born in Nova Scotia? And the rucúch tú an an Alpan nuach. Michael told him, rucúch is hocúch me an an Antigonish. I was born and brought up in Antigonish. Rucúch is hocúch me an an Antigonish. And went on to explain, ach, va mi furach an an Halifax. But I lived in Halifax. Ach, va mi furach an an Halifax. We also heard rucúch me, I was born, and hocúch me, I was brought up. Two very common ways you'll hear Gaelic speakers telling you where they're from. You can watch all of our conversations, supported by bilingual transcriptions, on our website. But let's listen to some of that conversation again.
Van me an sa Geramalt lion Siorrachd Pheairt.
And the chord and Beagrove.
Chord an beer gamoor. Stel him Breatainn first. Chord him round Pheairt.
Stel him Beag Alapanach.
En de chord a chudum alabana chrucht eigen hunje.
Chord, agus chord and Beagrove.
En de chord a vara gu chrucht.
Chord, ha maragu an sa Geramalt Pheairt. Shet bloed first and tell him a maragu an sa Geramalt.
Hallo, tadhal.
Ispanan agus Maracan.
Eh?
And Beag a Charlotte Shawnee.
Oh, kerst.
Yn drwg y tu awn yn alba nŵr a fi chael.
Rwcach is hocach mi an an Antigonish, ach, ba mi furach an Halifax son Jake Bliana.
To say where we're from, we sometimes use hami a allopa. But we also use the expression saun a allopa a hami. We're pulling the important information to the front of the sentence. It's from Scotland that I am. You'll also hear this in English with something like, it's tomorrow I'm leaving, stressing tomorrow. But Gaelic pulls this information to the front more often, introduced by saun. Saun leomsa a hai, it's mine. And it's also the normal way of saying where you're from. Saun a allopa a hami. I'm from Scotland. And you can find more learning materials which allow you to look at the topics we've covered in more detail online. Now let's quickly remind ourselves of what we've covered in this episode. Where are you from? Coas a how. Coas a how. Where do you live? Ca te vilu a fudach. Ca te vilu a fudach. Are you from? Are you from Scotland? A noun a allopa a how. A noun a allopa a how. And to say you are from Scotland, saun a allopa a hami. Saun a allopa a hami. Or if you're not from Scotland, chanaun a allopa a hami. Chanaun a allopa a hami. Did you enjoy or like something? And the horse derucht. And the horse derucht. If you did enjoy it, horse derum. Horse derum. And if you didn't, chad the horse derum. Chad the horse derum. Finally, to tell someone where you were born, rucach me. Rucach me. And where you were brought up, hocach me. Hocach me. Well, a harshin hamin dachas gan the horst and program show rive. I hope you enjoyed this episode of Speak Gaelic. Agus ma horst, if you have enjoyed it, why don't you join us on our social media platforms and on our podcasts from BBC Sounds? Go on, tell us where you come from or where you're learning Gaelic. We'd love to hear from you. Until the next time, mar sin leibhinn d'rasta.